Hey, this is Mike from the Run Testers, and this is our multi-tester review of the Hoka Speedgoat 5. So here's what you need to know about the Hoka Speedgoat 5. It's priced at £130 in the UK and $150 in the US. It comes in both regular and wide foot options and offers the same stack height and rocker profile as the Speedgoat 4. It weighs in lighter than the 4, coming in at 242 grams for the women's version in a UK size 7 and 291 grams for the men's shoe in a UK size 9. Starting with the upper, and it's a mesh upper made from recycled polyester and double jacquard recycled content that's designed to offer more room than its predecessor. There's extended heel tabs that pull on the shoe and a protective toe round up front to offer protection against rocks and trail debris. The EVA-based midsole is now made from a lighter single density compound, and with a late stage meta rocker, it's designed to offer protective, responsive and a propulsive feeling underfoot. On the outsole, Hoka has reworked the Vibram Mega Grip with a traction lug design to increase surface areas on the 5mm lugs to provide more surface contact and traction. Fit for me was solid overall in the Speedgoat 5. It's definitely more low profile and lighter than the 4 noticeably. I think the 4 kind of was a big shoe but kind of ran relatively lighter than it looked, but I think this is overall improvement in terms of the comfort you're getting, in terms of, you know, the reduction in the materials and what you're getting here. Most of the changes I would say are positive here. I mean, I don't really care that much for this kind of extended heel tab, which is kind of one of the kind of Hoka's traits at the moment to make it easy to take off. What I will say is I think this upper kind of is stretchy, kind of in the right places, hugs where I think it needs to. This is a regular fit shoe. It definitely fits a little bit narrow, I would say. I've got a narrow foot, so it kind of works for me. But you do have a wide option in this shoe. I definitely would think, you know, it's almost one you need to be able to go and try on to kind of see the difference in terms of the fit. But the regular fit works for me. I quite like the padded tongue here, and you've got this kind of V at the top to make sure that's kind of almost kind of additional bit kind of sits properly on top of your foot. So overall for me, it's been a really comfortable shoe to wear. My UK size 8 was ideal for me, even though a little bit narrow. I mean, it worked for me, but definitely, yeah, I think you might need to play around with the sizes ultimately to get the ideal fit. But my one worked for me, all positive on the kind of comfort and fit point of view in a Speedgoat 5.
So the Speedgoat 5 fit me completely true to size. I have quite a narrow foot, and the way this 4-foot tapers quite dramatically works really well for me. But yeah, if you have had trouble with Hoka shoes that do kind of taper at the front in the past, it's a similar thing here. And I didn't have any kind of lateral movement around the midfoot or slippage at the heel when running down hills and stuff. So yeah, all round the fit was very good, true to size for me.
Fit for me then, well, I ran true to size in a UK 8.5, which is my size. I know some people have mentioned sometimes that the Speedgoats can come up a little bit narrow, so you get a little bit of rubbing on the toes if you've got wider feet. They do come in a wide, but I found that not to be a problem. I do have quite wide feet, and I thought these were perfect kind of true to size, so I would recommend going true to size.
I've done just over 60k in the Hoka Speedgoat 5, and I've loved it pretty much for everything. I have to say, I think it's probably my favourite trail shoe of the year so far. I found it really comfortable. I found it very smooth ride. I found it works well at a good range of paces and across a massive range of terrain and distances as well. Like, I'm not an ultra marathoner, but I would still say certainly don't rule out this shoe if you're not, you know, an ultra runner. It's just great for kind of trail runs of any length. So I did a kind of easy run out of the box just to start it, and it's a very comfortable ride. It really deadens the feel of the ground beneath you in a good way, I would say. Like, if you're someone who does love loads and loads of ground feel, then obviously you're not getting it here, but it's just very comfortable, very cushioned, and the rocker really does work very nicely. It's got a very smooth ride. That means that even though it's quite a big shoe and, you know, got a big old stack of cushioning, it does disappear on the foot quite well. It's also surprisingly nimble, I found, despite the kind of large size here, and the lugs are really good. Like, I've been in some, you know, reasonably deep mud in this shoe, and it does grip really very impressively for a shoe that is also comfortable for long stretches on, you know, really quite hard trails, you know, with bits of road in them as well. Outsole, I think, is, you know, close to flawless. It's a fantastically, really well designed outsole, and those little spikes, you know, are an interesting thing I've not seen before, but they seem to be doing their job very well. My favourite run in the shoe was the longest run I've done in it. It obviously does excel over those longer distances. I did kind of a 24k running it, and I was horribly hungover, which is very rare for me, on the morning, and the clocks had also gone forward that night. Either way, I'd lost an hour of sleep and I got back late and I was really grumpy and not really looking forward to my run, and I thought it was going to be awful. But just because I was progressing the pace, started off nice and easy, was shuffling along in the forest, everything started to really click and I felt fantastic. I had one of the best runs of the year, and I think a lot of it was down to the ride of this shoe, because early on I was very shuffly, very tired, and it was just beautiful, like smooth, ticking along easily. And as the pace started to creep up a bit, it just felt really natural on the foot. And by the end, I was rolling along kind of sub 340 a K on the trails and just having an absolute blast. So yeah, big fan of the Speedgoat Ultra Round. I think the only thing it kind of isn't perfect for is kind of short, sharp speed work. I went out to kind of run some more like 10K race pace efforts along the canal near me, and then it does start to feel a bit big, and actually the size of the shoe just slightly gets in the way of your gait trying to run at that kind of speed, I found. But, that's not really what it's designed for. And it does everything else that it actually is designed for very well indeed.
So for my run test of the Speedgoat 5 then, I've done a real mixture. I've done quite a lot of miles, up to kind of 50 miles in this shoe. That includes one kind of 3 hour long kind of 18 to sort of 20 miler, a first run test. And this has been a brilliant shoe. Hands down, really like it, really love it. I love the way it feels. It's kind of light, nimble, agile for a trail shoe. I think it's got a really well balanced kind of underfoot ride where it's not too cushioned, not too firm, good response. It rolls really nicely, and it's just kind of an effortless runner that I've really enjoyed running on. Most of my running has been done on kind of compacted sort of flat trails, really. I've taken it to some sort of steep and muddy stretches and a few kind of downhills, but nothing mountainous, So in the UK where I'm running, I'm not talking about sort of really steep kind of technical tricky trails, which I think actually the shoe is quite designed for, but I'm talking more about kind of hard packed ground. I wouldn't really like to take it into loads of mud. I don't think those lugs will hold up to sort of really, really slippy stuff. But I think for trails, I've cast my mind over to trails that I've run, like the Lavaredo and the Dolomites in Italy, all the trails around kind of the UTMB and Mont Blanc, those kind of things. I think the Speedgoat has got really good potential for that kind of running, particularly those bits where you're going to come down into a valley or run stretches on tarmac and road, because I do think this has got a really good commuter feel to it. It's not too grippy on the tarmac. There's enough kind of cushioning and protection for when you're going through those bits. It doesn't feel clumpy and sort of slappy like some trail shoes can do when you hit the tarmac. So for those bits where you drop into a valley or you've got stretches that might go to road in an ultra, I think this is a really, really good, interesting shoe. The overall comfort, I found the cushioning and padding around the heel to be perfect. There's no rubbing up and around the Achilles. I found I got really good lockdown fit from the laces. There's this little sort of neoprene sort of segment here in the sort of top of the toe box, which I do feel sort of adds a little bit of flexibility as well. Those kind of jacquard mesh uppers, they're sort of kind of structured, they're sort of fairly breathable. I didn't find that my feet got too hot, even on kind of a fairly hot day when I did that kind of long 3 hour run. Overall, I find you get a really good roll in these shoes. I find it really easy to kind of settle back into kind of my kind of easy ultra marathon pace, which would be slower. We're talking about kind of 9 or 10 minute miles for me, just rolling along those trails, feeling like I could go a long time. So I'm about to try and run the Danube from source to sea, to do 70 marathons in 70 days along some of kind of roads and compacted trails. And I think this shoe is way up there as a contender, just on it, based on its kind of durability, its comfort, its fit and feel, and how it helps me roll through those miles easily, but it can also handle that kind of crossover terrain.
So in terms of my run test now, this shoe is definitely designed for ultra runners. I'm not an ultra runner, but I have tried to go a little bit longer in this shoe. I've done a kind of few kind of hour plus runs in this shoe and tried to do some shorter stuff in it as well, just to see how it handles at kind of different distances. And that was on a mixture of terrain, some kind of lighter trails, but also some kind of more technical ones, kind of some hills as well, to see how it deals with kind of elevation as well. And pretty much anything I kind of threw at it handled it, without much issue. That's what I would kind of say. The midsole felt responsive for me, but it also felt pleasingly protective as well, which I think is really important when you're going long in this shoe. You still get some of that grounded feel, I think, but that cushioning for me felt just about right. It felt best at kind of the steadier paces. While it didn't really feel snappy at faster paces, I did feel like I picked things up in places, and it still felt like a nimble shoe, kind of navigating trails in it. That change in weight from the 4 is really welcomed here, and I think that's what really kind of shines through in terms of kind of my running in the Speedgoat 5. Yeah, and then you've got this really strong outsole here where basically Hoka's tried to kind of open up the surface area in terms of what you're getting here to offer a better grip across surfaces. I found it pretty solid on the 4. I think it's more the same on the 5, on muds. kind of harder, kind of rockier terrain, kind of uprooted branches I've kind of run across, also kind of hills as well, and kind of going back down. I felt it was quite nice on those surfaces. And then also just going and doing a little bit of road as well. I found it worked pretty well on that front. So if you've got to throw in some road time as well in between your trails, I think this kind of holds up pretty well on that front too. So yeah, all very positive for me in the Speedgoat 5. I think, you know, big changes, particularly in the upper, a little bit in that kind of midsole as well, but I think all changes that are for the positive, and things that, you know, made this a really enjoyable shoe to run in overall.
Very little I would fault around the Hoka Speedgoat 5, and as long as you're getting on with the fit around the toe box, it's not too narrow for you, then yeah, I think it's a fantastic trail shoe for almost anything. Like, unless again, you maybe want loads and loads of ground feel and that kind of thing, in which case you're probably not looking at such a high stack shoe in general. I think it's comfortable, I think it's versatile, I think it's going to be durable, and it works, you know, a real range of terrain. So ultra marathoner or not, I would be looking at the Speedgoat 5 as one of kind of the best all-rounder trail shoes this year. A couple of alternatives that probably are out there if you do want maybe a lighter shoe and a faster shoe, if you're maybe looking at some trail races and want something a bit kind of more aggressive, then there is the Hoka Torrent 2 or even the new Tecton X we're testing out at the moment. Those are both great shoes that are lighter and have a lot of, you know, some similarities with the Speedgoat, but they're built more for kind of short stuff with a lighter, kind of more aggressive profile. This is really all about just cranking out very smooth mile after mile after mile. If you're looking at kind of long distance racing shoes with a slightly lower profile and that kind of thing, and the Adidas Terex Speed Ultra is a really good shoe that I like a lot, for kind of, again, for running across a range of terrain at different speeds. It's got a less kind of big high stack and kind of smooth rocker ride. It is a kind of more aggressive shoe, but it is still quite comfortable, I'd say.
My verdict on the Speedgoat 5 then, well, I think this is a winner of a shoe. I've really enjoyed my miles in it. I've really enjoyed going long in it. I've really enjoyed doing that kind of commute across the tarmac onto kind of hard compacted trails that I run, kind of river paths, done some steeper stuff. I think it's a really kind of versatile shoe. And yeah, it's one of those that I find it's really easy to lace up and go and run in. Other shoes that I've tested that I think sort of come into this kind of range, I recently tested the North Face Endurus 2. I feel like that has a kind of similar ride to it. It's kind of just enough response, just enough softness, not quite as firm as other sort of trail shoes that I've tried, very well balanced. So that might be another one you want to compare it with. But yeah, overall, a really, really well balanced trail shoe that I have really enjoyed the miles in, and I would highly recommend this one.
So my verdict on the Hoka Speedgoat 5 is that I have really enjoyed running in this shoe. I think it's probably the standout trail shoe that I've used this year. I think those are a little bit nervous about the changes from the 4 to the 5, and there's a lot here. It's all for the positive, I would say. It's lighter, it's more comfortable, but you're still getting a good balance in terms of that cushioning, that ride that you're getting here, and then also the outsole, which I think is well equipped for kind of variety of terrain. Hard or soft, I think a little bit technical as well. I think it can work pretty well on that front as well. So if you're looking for a trail shoe that I think you can, you know, go long in, or you just want to go easy and steady out on a trail run in a mixture of terrain, this is a really strong shoe to do it in. It's really impressed me, and yeah, a really strong option from Hoka in terms of a really good trail shoe to go off-roading. So there have it, that is our take on the Hoka Speedgoat 5. Now, if you've got any questions about our testing or how it compares to some other trail shoes, let us know in the comments. As always, like and subscribe, hit that little bell to find out about our latest videos, and yeah, we'll see you for the next Run Testers video.